All right, today we have a 2005 Mitsubishi Endeavor. This is the F4A51, or another name, when I actually ran it through Shopkeep Pro, I ran the VIN. It came up as a W4A51, but it's pretty much the same thing. So it's an F4A51 all-wheel drive. And the problem with this is it had no reverse, and I believe it had no second, and probably had no fourth. I'm not really sure what we're going to find with this when we open it, but that's what this thing's doing. So let me just get a little closer. I'm going to point out a couple of things before we actually open this up. And I wanted to show you guys about one of the intermediate shafts that go into the diff. You know, because if the all-wheel drives it would be tough getting the power transfer unit out, or the transfer case. You got to pull one of the intermediate shafts out that actually locks the transfer case in there. So let me get a little closer onto the trans, and we'll point out some sensors, and I'll show you that intermediate shaft. Here actually is the cooling lines for the unit, and you can see it is looped together here, but there is this part goes through the radiator, and this goes to a cooler. So actually, when we use our hot flush machine, we have to flush out the trans cooler first, and then the cooler and the radiator. So two separate instead of normally just one. You know, it's all looped together. So this is a little different setup on this Mitsubishi. So let me just get a little closer here, and I'll point out some stuff. We'll start taking this thing apart. Okay, so on this unit, if you can see this right here, this is your input speed sensor. This here is your output speed sensor. Here's your range switch. Your solenoids hook up, you know, the engine harness hooks up right here. And the other thing I did want to show you is this is the intermediate shaft that goes through the trans, and this part, which normally has a clip on it, but I took the clip off to slide the shaft out. This goes into the transfer case, which, you know, bolts on right here. And you won't be able to get the transfer case out if you wanted to take it out and leave the trans in the car with this shaft in here. So this actually fits in here like this. Okay, and this part's going to go into the transfer case with the clip and lock in. So what you have to do to get this out is we put a bolt in here. There is a threaded hole. We put a bolt in here. We used the screwdriver, popped it out, and the transfer case came right out. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. If you ever had to take just the transfer case out of this and leave the transmission in. The reason why the transfer case does have to come out if we're doing the transmission separately is because there's a bell housing bolt that's very hard to get to. You really can't get to it with the transfer case bolted into the car. So you take it out, and I think maybe the bolt is possibly right here, but it's very hard to get to. So that's why it would have to be separated. All right, so first thing I want to do is take these sensors off. Certainly don't want to break those. Okay, again, the output speed sensor. And get the input. Okay, there's that one. And we'll take this range switch off. Actually, we already, that one was loose. Okay, Alright, so now I guess we'll pull this cover off. And we're going to take, behind this cover will be the Overdrive reverse drum. Left, yes. Okay, so we'll take this out. Looks like it's just tight on the silicone. You know what? Let's try this here, but let me get a bigger screwdriver. Okay, so here's the overdrive and reverse drum. Okay, we got a busted up bearing to start with. So that don't have to be changed, just erase. Alright, so I got a busted up bearing here. Alright, and we have 3 O-rings. 1, 2, 3 that go right here. Alright, so we're gonna have to look at this drum real close, make sure this drum is still good. Okay, so we're gonna take one of the hubs out. Okay, that is for the overdrive. And this hub is for the reverse, also a sun gear. Alright, now one more thing with this cover, you want to look at these rings. Make sure these rings, you know, the lands aren't worn out and the rings are good. Alright, I wonder if we can get this planet set out. Probably not yet. Okay, so now we're going to take the snap ring off, and this is going to be our intermediate clutch or second clutch that we're going to take apart now. You got to watch the stack up on these F4A51s and F5A51s with the second clutch stack up, because I know there's a lot of snap rings and stuff, and there's steel plates that got to go a certain way, and if you set it up wrong, it's not going to work right. So we'll take this apart one piece at a time. Let's see, I have to pull the valve body off. See if we can get this here. Probably a seal in the valve body that might be holding this in, so you know what we'll do? We'll pull this cover off, which houses the valve body. And you know what, I forgot my basket. Okay, so let's get this side cover off, expose the valve body. Of course, you can see there's no pan on this, so filter is internal to the unit. All right, so we got the side cover bolts out, and this will, now we'll see the valve body. Okay. Alright, that is your valve body, your various solenoids, your temp sensor. Let me see if I can, actually I don't know what's, I gotta ID the solenoids for it. Let me see if I can figure that out. And then we gotta disassemble this harness, and we'll leave the harness in. Actually, this might be able to come out. Might be able to take everything out as one. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take this clip out and see if I can push this thing through. Alright, so here's a clip that holds the harness up so it doesn't fall in. And then what we can do, yeah, okay, so this will push through. So I'm going to take everything off as one. Alright, now if I remember correctly, we don't get too many of these here. If I remember correctly, these three bolts are going to stay in, and all the rest are going to come out. So let's start taking those out. These are long bolts, so all these are going to come out, and these three up here should be the ones that stay in, that hold the valve body together. this bolt here. And this could probably stay. Alright, we got one board and this valve body should come off. Bring the harness. So we got everything as one, and you got a couple of check balls in there, which I believe are used for exhaust purposes. Okay, so we got two check balls here. One goes here and here. They both go right here. Alright, so that is the valve body. Okay, we got a screen. Got a screen here right in the middle. That'll come right out. And the feed for the second, like a neat pair of needle nose. Okay, let me grab it here. Okay, feed for the second clutch. Right here. All right, and this should, I believe a new one should come in. I don't have the overhaul kit yet, but I think a new one should come in the overhaul kit. All right, and now we have the accumulators here. Let me see if I can ID these accumulators for you real quick. I honestly don't know what they are. I want to look in the book real fast. Okay, so starting from here, this one, we have the low reverse, the underdrive, the second, and the overdrive. So I'm going to take these out. They all may be the same. We got two springs. See what this looks like. And these are probably pretty much all the same. Okay, this one only has one spring. These three are the same. This one only has one spring. So we're going to keep these aside here. Okay. All right, now we're going to continue taking apart the second clutch. Let me just get rid of some of this oil. Okay, so to continue now, of course with that seal out, this will come right out. Okay, this is your second clutch and there's a tab right here to line things up. I'm going to take the wave spring out. Okay, now we're going to get our clutches and steels. Okay, so these are the clutches. We're going to put them on now. We have a snap ring to get out. Let's see if we can take this out. Yes, we can. And I want to open this because I still don't know why this thing had no second and no reverse. You know, figuring something strict. Okay, so we got the second clutch here. Let me actually just move the camera down a little bit. Trying to get as close as I can, but not that close so you guys could see everything still. Okay, so we got the second clutch out. Now we're going to get a snap ring out. And we got to watch the way this next plate is. Kind of like a 604. It's got a plate that's got to go a certain way, and it probably has a snap ring on either side. All right, and I'm trying to move this plate and it doesn't move. Here's the snap ring. It's going to go down. You know, this is on the one side. Then we're going to slide this out. We want to take a look at this. All right, so this pressure plate, again, reminds me of a 604. Has a recess. It's flat on this side. Has a recess on this side, and the recess. This is where the other snap ring sits when it's sitting in the case. Okay, so this is going to actually sit just like this. Now there's another snap ring. It's probably a thinner one. I think I'll probably pull this clutch out. And this is going to sit on here, and then our low reverse will come out. And the clutch is looking pretty good shape. And here is a thick wave on the bottom. On the F4A51s, this used to be very thin, and then this used to break up, work its way through the filter, get into the pump, and break the pump. So this is the second clutch stack up. And this is very important. This goes back the correct way. So we're going to move this aside. Now let's see if we can open this up. Let's see what's going on here. If we can see anything. Looks good. There we go. There's your problem. This is no second, no reverse, I believe no second, no fourth. So this here, okay, should be like that. And there we go. That's the problem. Okay, so now that we've done that, that's a good thing. Now right here is your low spray here. And the rest of you apply that set. Okay, okay. Alright. Alright, so what we're going to do is just get organized here. We're going to turn this around, pull the bell off. This shaft, which is attached to the underdrive drum, actually the underdrive drum is what it takes off in first. But we want to look at that drum because sometimes pieces come apart on this drum, which I've seen before. We're going to pull the filter out. The diff is there. And that's really about it, breaking this thing down. So this is, we're going to pull the bell off next. I just want to get organized here, get some straightened up, and I will be back shortly. Alright, so let's get these bell bolts out. Ready? All right, I'm going to flip it up. Okay, so all these bolts are out. Let's see if we can break this thing loose. There's nothing in here. Let's see if we can just give it a couple of taps and loosen it. Okay, now the diff is going to come out too. That's a big one. Okay. Differential. And the bell housing. Alright, really nothing much in here. I'm just going to get rid of this here front half section. Okay, let me just show you one thing before. We have two O-rings, and they're used more than likely for lube. Okay, so the O-rings actually go in the case area, but you got one here and one here. Let me find a spot for this. Got about 5 transmissions going on the bench. All right, we got a small O-ring right here. Maybe see if I can even zoom in a little bit so I can show you there's one here and one here. Let me see if I can do this. I'll just zoom in and zoom out again. Whoops. Okay. So we got one O-ring here, one O-ring here. Very important. Little small O-rings. Okay, we'll head back out. So we're going to take these, put them aside. Okay, here is your filter. Coming down. We're going to pull the pump. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull the pump off. These looks like 12mm bolts. I'm going to find my socket. It is. Okay. Okay, you have your O-ring here, which seals when you put the bell housing on. Front seal, you got a gasket, and you want to check these ring lands as well. There's a special tool that you need to line this pump up with. Okay, and here is your underdrive clutch drum and hub. Okay, we'll open that, we'll look at those frictions. And here is your exciter ring that reads the input speed sensor. Okay, now the filter will come out. I think. Okay. All right, here is your filter. Filter should come with an O-ring. You want to make sure the O-ring goes back, or the O-ring's there with the new filter. Okay, well, that's pretty much, this thing is pretty much torn down. The exciter ring for the output speed sensor is here, but I'm not really going to disassemble this. This is a very, very tight fit in here. And this is, there's no clutches or anything in here. So we're just going to leave that. And this pretty much is assembled, except for the low reverse, which I'll actually take everything out. Alright, so let me get them organized here, and we'll take this out. We'll move the case aside and pretty much go through the clutches. And I want to show you the tool to line the pump up with. I actually have I did some stuff on another one is out of a Hyundai Sonata, and I actually have a video of doing the pump and a few other things. But let me just get rid of some of this oil again, and we will continue. Alright, so let's get these bell bolts out. Ready? All right, I'm going to flip it up. Okay, so all these bolts are out. Let's see if we can break this thing loose. There's nothing in here. So let's see if we can just give it a couple of taps and loosen it. Okay, now the diff is going to come out too. That's a big one. Okay. Differential. And the bell housing. Alright, really nothing much in here. I'm just going to get rid of this here. Front half section. Okay, let me just show you one thing before. We have two O-rings, and they're used more than likely for lube. Okay, so the O-rings actually go in the case area, but you got one here and one here. Let me find a spot for this. Now about 5 transmissions going on the bench. Alright, we got a small O-ring right here. Maybe see if I can even zoom in a little bit so I can show you there's one here and one here. Let me see if I can do this. I'll just zoom in and zoom out again. Whoops. Okay. So we got one O-ring here, one O-ring here. Very important. Little small O-rings. Okay, we'll head back out. So we're going to take these, put them aside. Okay, here is your filter. Coming down. Okay, we got to pull the pump off. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull the pump off. These looks like 12mm bolts. I'm going to find my socket. There it is. Okay. Okay. You have your O-ring here, which seals when you put the bell housing on. Front seal, you got a gasket, and you want to check these ring lands as well. There's a special tool that you need to line this pump up with. Okay, and here is your underdrive clutch drum and hub. Okay, we'll open that, we'll look at those frictions. And here is your exciter ring that reads the input speed sensor. Okay, now the filter will come out. I think. Alright, here is your filter. Filter should come with an O-ring. You want to make sure the O-ring goes back, or the O-ring's there with the new filter. Okay, well, that's pretty much, this thing is pretty much torn down. The exciter ring for the output speed sensor is here, but I'm not really going to disassemble this. This is a very, very tight fit in here. And this is, there's no clutches or anything in here. So we're just going to leave that. And this pretty much is assembled, except for the low reverse, which I'll actually take everything out. Alright, so let me get them organized here, and we'll take this out. We'll move the case aside and pretty much go through the clutches. And I want to show you the tool to line the pump up with. I actually have, I did some stuff on another one is out of a Hyundai Sonata, and I actually have a video of doing the pump and a few other things. But let me just get rid of some of this oil again, and we will continue. All right. So what I'm going to do here is, this is your low reverse piston, and there is a snap ring here. Instead of taking it over to like the foot press, because I may have to push down on this, I'm just going to try to get the snap ring out with a pair of snap ring pliers. And this way I don't have to go over to the press and okay, I can leave. I'm back. Over here's the snap ring. All right, this actually also is the inner race for the low sprig, and there is an O-ring. I want to make sure you put that back. There's an O-ring here. Okay. All right, and then the cover. It's going to go down, and then the return spring. And then the piston. Alright, let me get a pair of pliers to get that out. And the piston. Okay, so this is how the setup will look in the case. Just like that. Alright, so now the case is as far as we're going to go on the case. So really don't have any room to put this case, so let me just move it aside. So I got being towed in a 66 Mustang to do a transmission on. Supposed to be a pretty cool looking car. That's a C4 transmission. I'll probably do a video on that. Okay. All right, so here is your sun gear / reverse hub. Okay, these bushings look like they're pretty much wiped out, so we're going to change the bushings here. Okay, this is going to fit inside here. I'm not liking these bushings at all. Alright, we got another bearing. This is no good, and this is what goes here from that bad bearing we found. And hopefully this drum hopefully is okay. Yeah, the drum is okay, just got to get a bearing. There's nothing, not even any rollers left in here. But the drum is good. Okay. Overdrive, reverse clutch drum. Clutches all look good. Looks like this thing may have been recently done. Check the overdrive. Okay, very nice. Clutches all look in pretty good shape. Okay, this is the underdrive drum and hub. Okay, you have a bearing that goes in here. And this underdrive drum actually is a snap ring to hold the shaft in, which can come out, you know, when you have to take the piston apart. But this underdrive drum actually is what's on in first. And to a certain extent, your low reverse clutch is on too, but you know how most transmissions have like an input clutch or a forward clutch. The underdrive clutch is what's on. That's what they call it in this unit, and this is what's on in first gear. All right, he's looking pretty good shape as well. All right, so the snap ring. There's a little snap ring in here, and once you take that out, you know, this shaft will come out and you can service the drum. You want to look at these particular drums very closely because up here, it's also when I did that work on the Sonata, some of these pieces up here, we drained the unit because it had a problem, and on the magnet there were pieces, and the pieces went to this drum. You know, like it breaks at the very top up here. So you want to take a look at that. I've never seen that before, but I'm not sure if that's going to become a common thing. Okay, and again with this cover, you want to look at this cover and make sure these rings are good. Make sure there is no slack up and down. Okay, here is the pump. Let's open up the pump. Okay, that is going to be... All right, let me just get set up for this. I want to get the tool out. I got to get my socket. We'll open this up, look at it, and I guess we'll conclude the video. Alrighty, so give me a few minutes, be right back. Alrighty, so let's open up this pump. Alright, you want to make sure this is all good. This is nice. Very nice here. Okay, here are your pump body and gears. Okay, this has one dot here. This also has another dot here, so both of these are going to face up. That's the way they came out. So both dots face up. And then you want to check around in here with the pocket. Okay, this all looks good. All right, so this is the tool that you use to line these pumps up with, because, you know, there's really no chamfer here, so you have no way of actually lining up the pump. So this is the tool that is used to line the pump up, and pretty much it goes in here into the, you know, the bushing, and then when you put the stator on, it actually, inside here is a cutout, and it actually bottoms out. So, you know, it'll go down at a certain point and then stop, and then everything will be centered and you can tighten up your bolts. So I actually have a video on assembling a pump with a few other things, so I'll probably put all that out at the same time. Okay, so this is the pump. This looks good. Other than that bearing in that piece, I'm going to start looking around. I might even have a planet. Okay, so I ended up taking the snap ring off of this thing. Okay, so this drum just kind of sits in here. So I took the snap ring off. And once the snap ring is off, the drum will slide right out. You can take it apart and change your O-rings. You got a couple of sealing rings here. All right, so again, I believe it's an 04 Mitsubishi Endeavor. It had no second, and it had no reverse, and I'm gonna probably, I didn't actually get it up that high, but it probably didn't have any fourth either. Honestly, I don't remember. But I'm gonna probably say no second, no fourth, and no reverse. And we found the main planet here, broken, broke right off. All right, so F4A51. I thank you guys for watching. And that's about it, so have a great day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a couple of thumbs up on the, click that please. And we'll see you next one. Have a great day.